And with that story, we're asking the question, how is black business navigating the government of national unity? Send us your WhatsApps on the number 072-110-5584 or give us a call on the number 010-594-6010. We are joined by the Black Business Council CEO, Mr. Khanki Matabane, and from the Black Management Forum, we're joined by the BMF's Managing Director, Mr. Monde Ndlovu. Gentlemen, a good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. The timing of the summit, really quite something, as we sit in the center of our transformation agenda being analyzed, not just here in South Africa under this government of national unity, for instance, and the parties within it, but by role players across the globe. Conversations in the White House looking at some of the transformational decisions that South African policymakers are making. Mr. Matabane, perhaps we start with you. Why now more than ever? This was an important conversation to have, and to really sit on the point around why walking the talk needs to happen as soon as possible.
Yeah, thank you very much, Naledi, and thank you for having us, and good evening to you, and also good evening to Monde. We basically looked at the GNU and say GNU has been with us for more than a year now. I think it's a year and some few days. And we thought it's time for the GNU to come and account to our members. And we then said in our, what you call the mini Davos, let's invite all the decision makers from business, politics, government, social, civil society, and then create that platform where they will have a conversation, but that conversation they will have it in the presence of our members, to then say, as the GNU, we've basically come this far, and this is what we have done. These are the challenges that we've had, and so on. So we were also invited to that meeting where they were dimming the lights in the United States, and then there were some logistical challenges, but we wanted to be there to then indicate to the United States that South Africa has got a specific history, a particular history, a very painful history. It's important that we need to then undo the damages of apartheid. And we've had engagements basically with almost all the parties. You'll see even tomorrow the MK party is coming, the PA, Mackenzie is also coming, and other parties, because we are saying BBC is a platform that not many people have, and we need to utilize that platform to then engage and get an engagement that the country needs. So we had an engagement, for example, with the Minister of Agriculture, and we agree with him. The figures that he mentioned of saying people were given 5 years, 10 years, 30 years leases, majority of those people are black farmers. And then hence we agreed with him, we need to work with him to then force government to say, no, let's convert these leases into title deeds, so that those black farmers can then have something that they can take to the bank. With Minister Dao, we've been working with Minister Dao for some times. We also conceptualized the transformation fund, because we're saying the banks come and say we've got funding in South Africa, and then our members come, but no, there's no funding. And then we said, no, we need to get funding that talks to the needs of black business, not the funding that the banks think it will help us.
Yeah.
Hence, we then said we need transformation funds that will even help black people with what is called the skin in the game, the 10% that is required when you buy something or investing into something. So yeah, so we wanted to get the GNU to basically come and account.
Yeah, and I want to get into, just what you take out of, the discussions coming out today, but of course more deliberations coming in tomorrow. But Monde, help us out here. We're talking about the relevance of this discussion at this time for South Africa, and I immediately think about why we need the separation of saying that black business needs to have an influence on the even policy direction of government, even in a government of national unity, when one could argue, well, business is business. Why separate the conversation and say, well, there needs to be influence from black business. Help us with that.
Well, thank you very much. Very good evening to yourself, to your viewers, and good evening to my CEO, Mr. Matabane. I think it's quite critical to get a handle on the fact that even when you talk about SMMEs or MSME, whichever way you want to cut it, you're actually traditionally talking about black business or what is known as black business, right? So those that are trying to emerge within the business fraternity, when you say SMME or MSME, you're actually referring to black people who are trying to break ranks and get their skin in the game within the business community. So that's the first thing, is that when we're talking about the next phase of driving transformation, the next phase of economic growth or the possibility of growing the economy is going to come from the MSME space. You're actually targeting black business. Why black business? Because historically, majority have been left out of the mainstream economy, not just from a management perspective, but even from an opportunity to be entrepreneurs and participate in the factors of production. Now, even with that economic theory, when you look at factors of production, labor, entrepreneurship, capital, and land, those factors of production where black people are mostly concentrated is in the labor space, more so in the labor space than any other space. Whether you talk about capital, we don't have much capital, even though there's been an advent of democracy, but we still don't have much capital to influence the terms of capital that ensure that we have opportunity to grow black business. So it is critical to be clear that who actually is disadvantaged, what is holding the economy back, and that will point you to the fact that you have a majority that has been left out, and you've got to tap into that space, and that space is actually black and African in particular. Therefore, those factors of production must actually be equally, there must be a critical mass. We talk critical mass in all the factors of production, especially entrepreneurship, where you want to then have black people emerge, and then our story then becomes critical, and our conversations become critical because we've got specific needs which are different to established business. That's why they're called established, because they've been here since time immemorial.
Yeah. I mean, the barriers that you both list are really quite something, and a long way to go, I suppose, in being able to break those down. But let's see some of the WhatsApps that we've gotten from our viewers on this discussion, right? So the role of black business, particularly in government of national unity. Carlos says, for me, I don't understand what's the mandate for this organization. If they're for black business, then why can't you find them where most black people are? There's no BBC offices in Soweto or the rural areas. They're only accessible to the elite black people. Scalo, we will take that to our guest. Thank you for your input. Bongiwe in Greenstone says, the government of national unity has still not proven to be effective in any way to black businesses. Lack of capital is still a huge problem in black businesses, as there are systemic barriers that hinder access to capital, not to mention the bureaucracy black businesses are faced with. There's always an announcement of millions and billions set aside for black businesses, but the level of corruption in our government makes it virtually impossible for the funds to reach the people it's intended for. Let's take a call. Moremedi is in Pretoria. Moremedi, good evening. Thank you for calling.
Evening. I hope you are fine now.
I'm well, sir. Talk to us.
Yes. Look, man, the Black Business Forum, I think I'm thinking it of a big body on top there that are dealing with the concentration of black businesses. And then what I want to see from them, I want to see them also going down on the smaller businesses. And then what they have to do, I want them to train the smaller businesses, and then they must protect also those businesses, because now foreign nationals are running around and they make sure that they deal away or their businesses defeat this one of South Africans. Okay. So we end up like when I look at this Black Business Forum, it's like big people just sitting on top there, looking at their own businesses. Okay. And then it's like I don't know where they are going. That means if they go away, we are expecting the smaller businesses to also grow up. Those who are at the bottom will also grow up, seeing them also on top there.
Moremedi, such a strong point, and I have to cut you there, but that point is such an important one, and SMS earlier also talking about it. Unfortunately, I am out of time, so Monday, I'm going to let you have your final thoughts. I know that in May, we did see the Black Management Forum also speaking on the Commission for Employment Equity and its report, Bridging the Equity Gap Through Diversity and Inclusion. So I suppose that would be a green shoot that you are seeing where transformation is concerned. But where you want to see the conversation going tomorrow when the political parties join this Black Business Council sitting?
I think firstly on the employment equity aspect is quite critical to ensure that we continuously have that upward mobility, and obviously the sector targets that are being targeted by other forces that they will have an adverse effect. But in actual fact, there is no other way for us to drive a targeted approach, not a quota approach, a targeted approach in the levels of influence that impact decision making. And hence top management, top leadership is critical. We've got to see Black people, African women laying their hands on levers of power in the economy so that they can make influential and impactful decisions through the business so that those businesses can then be more socially aligned, which is what the broader transformation aspect is all about. Secondly, the Black Business Council tomorrow, in terms of the political parties coming to engage, I think what's critical is a unified approach, unified thinking around where transformation is going according to them. With all the new ideas, the transformation fund has come on board, this promulgation of employment equity as well that's come through. Really, where do they really stand on these matters? And it's quite critical because without B and affirmative action, this country's democracy will not survive. And so they need to be very clear where they stand in regards to democracy, B, affirmative action, and even reconciliation, because they're all interlinked. And so the clarity that needs to come from them, we are looking forward to hearing that tomorrow.
Mr. Matabane, I'm going to be strict with you because my time is almost gone. I will give you about 30 seconds if you can squeeze as much as you can into that. Two of our viewers saying, be more accessible. People want to see BBC, the Black Business Council, down in their communities, and then ideally outcomes from tomorrow. As you sit with the parties inside and outside of that government of national unity, what would say to you that you've had the right sort of discussion?
Yeah, firstly, we want to make sure that whatever proposal we talk about, they're implemented. So next year when we meet again, we need to then look back and say we've implemented 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that this does not become a talk shop. But the BBC is a mother body or a father body that operates through its affiliates. So we've got the PMF, we've got the Black accountants, Black farmers, Black engineers, Santaco, which is a taxi association, NAFCOC. So BBC gets access through affiliates. That's why as a confederation, we are basically sitting at the top dealing with policies. But the people who are supposed to be dealing with the day-to-day issues of members on the ground is the affiliates, the Black Business Management Forum, NAFCOC, and all those type of things. So it's important that members then need to know where to find these affiliates, because those are the ones who are supposed to then be dealing with the issues on the ground.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. We look forward to seeing the outcomes of the Black Business Council's summit taking place here in Gauteng. Thank you so much to Kempton Park, CEO of the Black Business Council, and Monde Ndlovu, Managing Director of the Black Management Forum. You can keep your thoughts coming in on X at Newzroom 405. Let's take a short break. More news on the other side of this.